Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Chapter 7. Brahmovacha Yatrodhyata Kshititalodharanaya Bibrata Kaundim Tanum Sakala Yajnamai Mai Manantaha Antar Maharnava Upagatamadidaithyam Tam Damshtrayadhrimiva Vajradharo Dadhara. Lord Brahma said, when the unlimitedly powerful Lord assumed the form of a boar as a pastime just to lift the planet Earth, which was drowned in the great ocean of the universe called the Garbhodaka, the first demon, Hiranyaksha, appeared, and the Lord pierced him with his tusk. Jato rucherajanayat Suyamana Suyajna Akroti Sunuramaranata Dakshinayam Lokatrayasya Mahati Maharadyadartim Swayam Bhuveta Manuna Harirityanuktaha. The Prajapati first begot Suyajna in the womb of his wife Akuti, and then Suyajna begot demigods headed by Suyama in the womb of his wife Dakshina. Suyajna, and as the Indradeva, diminished very great miseries in the three planetary systems, upper, lower, and intermediate, and because he diminished the miseries of the universe, he was later called Hari by the great father of mankind, namely Swayambhuva Manu. Jagne cha kardama gruhe dvisha deva hutyam stribhis samam navabhiratmagatim swamatre Uche yatatmashamalam pankam asmin vidhuyak kapilasya gatim prapede. The Lord then appeared as the Kapila incarnation, being the son of the Prajapati, Brahmana, Kardama, and his wife Devahuti, along with 9 other women sisters. He spoke to his mother about self-realization, by which in that very lifetime he became fully cleansed of the mud of the material modes and thereby achieved liberation, the path of Kapila. Atrerapathyamabhikankshata ahatushto datto mayahamiti yad bhagavan sadattaha Yatpadapangajaparaga Yogardima Purubhaim Yaduhai Hayadhyaha. The great sage Atri prayed for offsprings, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son, Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atri, and by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Haihayas, etc., became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Taptam tapo vividaloka sisrukshayame adau sanat swatapasah sachatus sanobhut प्राकल्पसम्प्लव विनष्टमिहात्मतत्त्वं सम्यक् जगादमुनयो यदचक्षतात्मन्. To create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerities and penance, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in 4 Sanas: Sanaka, Sanatkumara, Sanandana, and Sanatana. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated, but the 4 Sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. धर्मस्य दक्षदुहितर्यजनिष्ठमूर्त्यां नारायणो नरः नर इति स्वतपः प्रभावः दृष्ट्वात्मनो भगवतो नियमावलोपं देव्यस्त्वनङ्गपृतना घटितुं न शेकुः. To exhibit his personal way of austerity and penance, he appeared in twin forms as Narayana and Nara in the womb of Murti, the wife of Dharma and the daughter of Daksha, celestial beauties. The companions of Cupid went to break his vows, but they were unsuccessful, for they saw that many beauties like them were emanating from him, the personality of Godhead. कामं दहन्ति कृतिनो ननु रोष्टदृष्ट्या रोषं दहन्तमुत तेन दहन्त्यसह्यं योऽयं सोऽयं यदन्तरमलं प्रविशन् बिभेति कामः कथं नु पुनरस्य मनः श्रयेत. Great stalwarts like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glances, overcome lust and vanquish them, yet they cannot be free from the overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of Him, the Lord, who is above all this. So, how can lust take shelter in his mind? विद्दस्सपत्न्युदितपत्रिभिरन्तिराज्ञो बालोऽपि सन्नुपगतास्तपसेवनानि तस्मा उदाद् ध्रुवगतिं गुणते प्रसन्नो दिव्यास्तुवन्ति मुनयो यदुपर्यदस्तात्. Being insulted by sharp words spoken by the co-wife of the king, even in his presence, Prince Dhruva, though only a boy, took to severe penances in the forest, and the Lord, being satisfied by his prayer, awarded him the Dhruva planet, which is worshipped by great sages both upward and downward. Yadvenamutpatagatam dvijavakya vajra nishpluštupurusha bhagam nirate nishpluštapurusha bhagam niraye patantam त्रात्वार्तितो जगति पुत्रपदं च लेभे दुग्धा वसूनि वसुधा सकलानि येन. Maharaja Veena went astray from the path of righteousness, and the Brahmanas chastised him by the thunderbolt curse. By this, King Vena was burnt with his good deeds, and the opulence was en route to hell. The Lord, by his causeless mercy, descended as his son by the name of Prithu, delivered the condemned King Vena from hell, and exploited the earth by drawing all kinds of crops as the produce. Nabherasa vrushabha asa सुदेवि सूनुर् यो वै चचार समधृग् जडयोगचर्यां यत्पारमहंस्य मृषयः पदमामनन्ति स्वस्थः प्रशान्तकरणः परिमुक्तसङ्गः. The Lord appeared as the son of Sudeva, the wife of King Nabi, and was known as Rishabhadeva. He performed materialistic yoga to equibalance the mind. This stage is also accepted as the highest perfectional situation of liberation, wherein one is situated in oneself and is completely satisfied. Satre samasa bhagavan hayashirashato साक्षात् स यज्ञपुरुषस्तपनीयवर्णः छन्दोमयो मखमयो किल देवतात्मा वाचो बभूवुरुषतिः श्वसतोऽस्य नस्तः. The Lord appeared as the Hayagriva incarnation in a sacrifice performed by me, Brahma. He is the personified sacrifices, and the hue of his body is golden. He is the personified Vedas as well, and the supersoul of all demigods. When he breathed all the sweet sounds of Vedic hymns came out of his nostrils. Matsyo yuganta samaye manunopalabdaha shronemayo nikila jiva विकायकेतः विस्रंसितानुरुभये सलिले सुखान् मे आदाय तत्र विजहारः वेदमार्गान्. At the end of the millennium, the would-be Vaivasvata Manu of the name Satyavrata would see that the Lord in the fish incarnation is the shelter of all kinds of living entities, up to those in the earthly planets. Because of my fear of the vast water at the end of the millennium, the Vedas came out of my Brahma's mouth, and the Lord enjoys those vast waters and protects the Vedas. Shrirodadhava Maradanava Yutapanam unmattanatam amrutalabdhaya adidevah prushtena kaccapa vapurvidadhara gotram Nidrakshanoddhriparivartakashaya kanduhu. The primeval Lord then assumed the tortoise incarnation in order to serve as the resting place, pivot, for the Mandara mountain, which was acting as a churning rod. The demigods and Daman were churning the ocean of milk with the Mandara mountain in order to extract nectar. The mountain moved back and forth, scratching the back of the Lord tortoise, who, while partially sleeping, was experiencing an itching sensation. Kurmavataram. Traipishtaporubhayahasa rusimha rupam krutva brahmad brukuti damshtakaralavaktam दैत्येन्द्रमाशु गदयाभिपतन्तमारा धूरौ निपात्य vidadaranakau spurantam. The personality of Godhead assumed the incarnation of Nrsimhadeva in order to vanquish the great fears of the demigods. He killed the king of demons, Hiranyakashipu, who challenged the Lord with a club in his hand by placing the demon of his thighs and piercing him with his nails, rolling his eyebrows in anger, showing his fearful teeth and mouth. अन्तःसरस्युरुभलेन पदे गृहीतो गोहेण यूतपतिरम्भुजहस्त आर्तः आहेदमादिपुरुषाखिल लोकनाथ तीर्थक्षवः श्रवणमङ्गलनामधेय. The leaders of the elephants, whose leg was attacked in a river by a crocodile of supreme strength, was much aggrieved. Taking a lotus flower in his trunk, he addressed the Lord, saying, O original enjoyer, Lord of the universe, O deliverer, as famous as a place of pilgrimage, all are purified simply by hearing your holy name, which is worthy to be chanted. This is the Gajendra Moksham episode. Shrutva haristamaranaartinamaprameyash patagaraja bhujadirudaha chakrena nakravadanam vinipatya tasmadhaste pragruhya bhagavan krupayojahara. The personality of Godhead, after hearing the elephant's plea, felt that the elephant needed his immediate help, for he was in great distress. Thus, at once the Lord appeared there on the wings of the king of birds, Garuda, fully equipped with his weapon, the wheel, Chakra. With the wheel, he cut to pieces the mouth of the crocodile to save the elephant, and he delivered the elephant by lifting him by his trunk. Jyayan gunairavarajopyadhite sutanam lokan vichakrama iman yadatati yajñah kshmam vamanena jagruhe tripadachalena yanchamrute paticharan prabhu bhirnachalyah. The Lord, although transcendental to all material modes, still surpassed all the qualities of the sons of Aditi, known as Adityas. The Lord appeared as the youngest son of Aditi, and because he surpassed all the planets of the universe, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. On the pretense of asking for a measurement of 3 footsteps of land, he took away all the lands of Bali Maharaja. He asked simply because, without begging, no austerity can take one's rightful position. This is the Vamana Avatara. Narto baleraya murukramapada shaucham apashika dhrutavato vibudadhipatyam yo vai pratishrutamrutena vichikirshadantya dantyad atmanamangamanasaharaye bhimene. Bali Maharaja, who put on his head the water washed from the lotus feet of the Lord, did not think of anything besides his promise, in spite of being forbidden by his spiritual master. The king dedicated his own personal body to fulfill the measurement of the Lord's 3rd step. For such a personality, even the kingdom of heaven, which he conquered by his strength, was of no value. तुभ्यं च नारदमृषं भगवान् विवृद्ध भावेन साधु परितुष्ट उवाच योगं ज्ञानं च भागवतमात्म सतत्वदीपम् ज्ञानं च भागवतमात्म सतत्वदीपम् यद्वासुदेव Sharana Viduranjasaiva. O Narada, you were taught about the signs of God and his transcendental loving service by the personality of Godhead in his incarnation of Hamsavatara. He was very pleased with you due to your intense proportion of devotional service. He also explained unto you lucidly the full science of devotional service, which is especially understandable by persons who are souls surrendered unto Lord Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead. Chakram cha dikshvavihatam dashasuस्वतेजो manvantareshu manuvamshadharo बिभर्ति दृष्टेषु राजसुधमं व्यदधात् स्वकीर्तिं सत्ये त्रिपृष्ठ उशतीं प्रतयंश्चरित्रैः. As the incarnation of Manu, the Lord became the descendant of the Manu dynasty and ruled over the miscreant kingly order, subduing them by his powerful wheel weapon. Undeterred in all circumstances, his rule was characterized by his glorious fame, which spread over the three lokas and above them to the planetary system of Satyaloka, the topmost in the universe. धन्वन्तरिश्च भगवान् स्वयमेव कीर्तिर्नाम्ना नृणां पुरुरुजां रुज आशुहन्ति यज्ञे च भागममृतायुरवावरुन्ध आयुष्यवेदमनुषास्त्यवतीर्तीर्यलोके. The Lord, in his incarnation of Dhanvantari, very quickly cures the diseases of even of the ever-diseased living entities simply by his fame personified, and only because of him do demigods achieve long lives. Thus, the personality of Godhead becomes ever glorified. He also exacted a share from the sacrifices, and it is he only who inaugurated the medieval science or the knowledge of the medicine in the universe. Kshatram kshayaya vidinopamrutam mahatma brahmadrugujitapatham narakati uddanyasava vanikanta kamugraviryas त्रिसप्त कृत्वा उरुदारपरश्वदेन. When the ruling administrators, who are known as the Kshatriyas, turned astray from the path of the absolute truth, being desirous to suffer in hell, the Lord, in his incarnation as sage Parasurama, uprooted those unwanted kings who appeared as the thorns of the earth. Thus, he thrice 7 times uprooted the Kshatriyas with his keenly sharpened chopper. Asmat prasada sumukha kalaya kalesha ikshvaku vamsha avatirya guror nideshe tishtanvanam sadayitanuja avivesha yasmin virudhya dashakandhara artimarchat. Due to his causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his planetary extensions, appeared in the family of Maharaja Ikshvaku as the Lord of his internal potency, Sita. Due to his causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his planetary extensions, appeared in the family of Maharaja Ikshvaku as the lord of his internal potency Sita. Under the order of his father Maharaja Dasharatha, he entered the forest and lived there for considerable years with his wife and younger brother. Ravana, who was very materially powerful with 10 heads on his shoulders, committed a great offense against him and was thus ultimately vanquished. Ramavataram. Yasma udadudadhiruda bhayangavepo margam sapadhyaripuram haravad didakshoho dhure sruhun matitarosha sushona drishtya tatapyamanamakaro ganakrachakraha. The personality of Godhead, Ramachandra, being aggrieved for his distant, intimate friend, Sita, glanced over the city of enemy Ravana with red-hot eyes like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of the heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because his family members, the aquatics, like the sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry, red-hot eyes of the Lord. Vakshahastala Rugna Mahendravaha Dantairvidambita Kakubjusha Udahasam Sadyo Subhisaha Vineshyati Darahartur Vispurjitai Dhanusha Ucharato Disainyam. When Ravana was engaged in the battle, the trunk of the elephant which carried the king of the heaven, Indira, broke into pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravana, and the scattered broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravana therefore felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of the fighting soldiers, thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. But his laughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramachandra, the personality of Godhead. Bhume suretaravarutha vimarditayaha kleshavyaya kalaya sita krishna keshaha jatah karishyati jananupalakshya margaha karmani chatma mahimopa nibandhanani. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of the kings who have no faith in God, the Lord, just to diminish the distress of the world, descends with his planetary portion. The Lord comes in his original form with beautiful black hair, and just to expand his transcendental glories, he acts extraordinarily. No one can properly estimate how great he is. Tokena jivaharanam yadalukikaya straimasikasya chapada shakatopavruttaha yadringatantaragaten divisprushorva unmulanam twitaratarjunayorna bhavyam. There is no doubt about Lord Krishna's being the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, how was it possible for him to kill a giant demon like Putana when he was just on the lap of his mother, to overturn a cart with his leg when he was just 3 months old, to uproot a pair of Arjuna trees so high that they touched the sky when he was only crawling? All these activities are impossible for anyone other than the Lord himself. Yadvai vraje vrajapashun vishatoya pitan palamstva jiva yadanugraha drishti vrushtya तच्छ्रुद्धयेति विषवीर्यविलोलजिह्वा जिह्वम् उच्चाटयिष्यदुरगं विहरन् हृदिन्याम्. Then also, when the cowherd boys and their animals drank the poisoned water of the river Yamuna, and after the Lord in his childhood revived them by his merciful glance, just to purify the water of the river Yamuna, he jumped into it as if playing and chastised the venomous Kaliya snake which was lurking there, its tongue emanating waves of poison. Who can perform such Herculean tasks but the Supreme Lord? Tatkarma divyamiva yannishi nishayanam davagnina suchivatvane paridahyamane उन्नेष्यति व्रजमतो वसितान्तकालं नेत्रेऽपिध्याप्य सबलो नधिगम्य वीर्यः. On the very night of the day of the chastisement of the Kaliya snake, when the inhabitants of Vrajabrumi were sleeping carefreely, there was a forest fire ablaze due to dry leaves, and it appeared that all the inhabitants were sure to meet their death. But the Lord, along with Balarama, saved them simply by closing his eyes. Such are the superhuman activities of the Lord. Gruhita yadupabandamamushya mata shulbham sutasya na tu tadamushyamati yajrumbatoस्य vadane suvanani gopi samvikshya shankitamanav pratibhoditasit. When the cowherd woman, Krishna's foster mother Yashoda, was trying to tie the hands of her son with ropes, she found the rope to be always insufficient in length, and when she finally gave up, the Lord Krishna by and by opened his mouth, wherein the mother found all the universes situated. Seeing thus, she was doubtful in her mind, but she was convinced in a different manner of the mystic nature of her son. Nandam cha mokshyati bhayad varunasya pashad gopan vileshu pihitan mayasununa cha ahnyaprutam nishi shayanamatikshamena lokam vikuntamupaneshyati gokulam sma. Lord Krishna saved his foster father Nanda Maharaja from the fear of the demigod Varuna and released the cowherd boys from the caves of the mountain, for they were placed there by the son of Maya. Also to the inhabitants of Vrindavana, who were busy working during daytime and sleeping soundly at night because of their hard labor in the day, Lord Krishna awarded promotion to the highest planet in the spiritual sky. All these acts are transcendental and certainly prove without any doubt his godhood. Gopair makhe pratihate vraja viplavaya deve bivarshati pashun krupaya ririkshuhu dantorchilingramiva sapta dinani sapta varsho mahidramanadhaika kare salilam. When the cowherd men of Vrindavana, under the instruction of Krishna, stopped offering sacrifice to the heavenly king Indra, the whole tract of the land known as Vraja was threatened with being washed away by the constant heavy rains for 7 days. Lord Krishna, out of his causeless mercy upon the inhabitants of Vraja, held up the hill known as Govardhana with one hand only, although he was only 7 years old. He did this to protect the animals from the onslaught of water. क्रीडन् वने निशिनिशाकर रश्मिगौर्यां रासोन्मुखः कलपदायतमूर्छितेन उद्दीपितस्मररुजां व्रजभृद्वधूनां हर्तुर्हरिष्यति शिरो धनदानुगस्य. When the Lord was engaged in his pastimes of the Rasa dance in the forest of Vrindavana, enliving the sexual desires of the wives of the inhabitants of Vrindavana by sweet and melodious songs, a demon of named Shankachuda, a rich follower of the treasurer of heaven, Kubera, kidnapped the damsels, and the Lord severed his head from his trunk. Ye cha pralamba rakarardu ये च प्रलम्बकरदर्दुर केशय रिष्टाम केशी अरिष्टा all that okay. ये च प्रलम्बकरदर्दुर केशरिष्टम इष्टा okay. ये च प्रलम्बकरधर्दुरकेशरिष्ट मल्लोबकंसयवनाः कपिपौण्ड्रकाद्याः अन्ते च शाल्वकुजबल्लव सप्तोक्ष शंभर विधूरतरुक्मि मुख्याः यावा वृधे समितिशालिन आत्तचापाः काम्बोजमत्स्य कुरुसृज्जय कैकयाद्यः यास्यन्त्यधर्षणमलं बलपार्थभीमं भीम अव्याजाह्वयेन हरिणा निलयं तदीयम्. Entire Dasamaskanda they try to squeeze in these paragraphs, all the people who try to come and kill Krishna. All the demonic personalities like Pralamba, Denuka, Bakha, Keshi, Arishta, Chanura, Mushtika, Kuvalayapida, elephant, Kamsa, Yavana, Narakasura, and Poundraka, great marshals like Salva, Dvivida monkey, and Balvala, Dantavaktra, the 7 bulls, Shambara, Viduratha, and Rukmi, as also great warriors like Kamboja, Matsya, Kuru, Srinjaya, and Kekaya would all fight vigorously, either with the Lord Hari directly or with him under his names of Baladeva, Arjuna, Bhima, etc. And the demons thus being killed would attain either the impersonal Brahmajyoti or his personal abode in the Vaikuntha planets. कालेन मीलितधियामवृषस्य मृषस्य नृणां स्तोकायुषां स्वनिगमो बतधूरपारः आविर्हितस्त्वनुयुगं स हि सत्यवत्यां वेदद्रुमं विटपशो विजजिष्यति स्म. The Lord himself, in his incarnation as the son of Satyavati, Vyasadeva will consider his compilation of Vedic literature to be very difficult for the less intelligent persons with short life, and thus he will divide the tree of Vedic knowledge into different branches according to the circumstances of the particular age. Devadvisham nigamavartmani nishtitanam पूर्भिर्मयेन विहिताभिरदृश्य तूर्भिः लोकान् घ्नतां मतिप्रलोभं वेषं विधाय बहुभाष्यत औपधर्म्यम्. When the atheists, after being well versed in Vedic scientific knowledge, annihilate inhabitants of different planets, flying unseen in the sky on well built rockets prepared by great scientist Maya, the Lord will bewilder their minds by dressing himself attractively as Buddha and will preach on sub religious principles. Yarhyayayeshvapi satam na hare katastuyuhu pashandino dvijajana वृषलानृदेवाः स्वाहा स्वधा वषडिति स्म गिरो न यत्र शास्ता भविष्यति कलेर्भगवान् युगान्ते. Thereafter, at the end of Kali Yuga, when there exists no topics on the subject of God, even at the residences of the so-called saints and the respectful gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the low-born Sudra class or those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. Sarge tapoham ऋषयो नवये प्रजेशाः स्थाने तधर्ममकमन् वम रावणीशाः अन्ते त्वधर्म हरमन्युवशासुराध्या मायाविभूतय इमाः पुरुषक्तिभाजः. At the beginning of the creation, there are penance, myself Brahma and the Prajapatis, the great sages who generate them. During the maintenance of the creation, there are Lord Vishnu, the demigods with controlling powers, and the king of different planets. But at the end, there is irreligion, and then Lord Shiva and the atheists full of anger, etc. All of them are different representative manifestations of the energy of the supreme power, the Lord. Vishnornu virya gananam katamor hatiha yaf parthivanyapi kavirvimame rajamsi chaskambhaya swahara स्वरहसास्खलता त्रिपृष्टं यस्मात् त्रिसाम्यसदनादुरुकम्पयानम्. Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientist who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe cannot do so, because it is he only who, in his form of Trivikrama, moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet, Satyaloka, up to the neutral state of the three modes of material nature. All are moved, and all were moved. Nantam vidam yahamami munayograjaste maya bhalasya purushasya कृतोवराये या गायन् गुणान् दशशतानन आदिदेवः शोषोऽधुनापि समवस्यति नास्य पारम्. Neither I nor all the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. So, what can others who are born after us know about him? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge, although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 10,100 faces. येषां स एष भगवान् येदनन्तः सर्वात्मनाश्रितपदो यदि निर्व्यलीकम् ते दुस्तरामतितरन्ति च देवमायां नैषां समाहमिति धीः स्वशृगालभक्ष्ये. But anyone who is specifically favored by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, due to unalloyed surrender unto the service of the Lord, can overcome the insurmountable ocean of illusion and can understand the Lord. But those who are attached to this body, which is meant to be eaten at the end by dogs and jackals, cannot do so. वेदाहमङ्गपरमस्य हि योगमायां यूयं भवश्च भगवानत दैत्यवर्यः पत्नीमनोः स च मनुश्च तदात्मजाश्च प्राचीनबर्हिरुभुरङ्ग उत ध्रुवश्च इक्ष्वाकुरैल मुचुकुन्द विदेहगाधी रग्वम्भरीश सगरा गयनाहुषाध्याः मान्दात्रलर्कशत धन्वनुरन्ति देवव्रतो बलिरमूर्तरयो दिलीपः सौभर्युतङ्ग शिभिलेवल पिप्पलाद सारस्वतोद्धव पराशर भूरिषेणाः यन्ये विभीषण हनुमदुपेन्द्रदत्त पार्ताष्टिपेण विदुरसृत देववर्याः. O Narada, although the potencies of the Lord are unknowable and immeasurable, still, because we are all surrendered souls, we know how he acts through Yogamaya potencies, and similarly, the potencies of the Lord are also known to all the powerful Shiva, the great king of the atheist family, namely Prahlada Maharaja, Swayambhuva, his wife Shatarupa, his sons and daughters like Priyavrata, Uttanapada, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prashuti, Prachinabarhi, Ribhu, Anga, the father of Veena, Maharaja Dhruva, Ikshvaku, Aila, Muchukunda, Maharaja Janaka, Ghadi, Raghu, Ambarisha, Sagara, Gaya, Nahusha, Mandata, Alarka, Satadhanvi, Anu, Rantideva, Bhishma, Bali, Amrutataraya, Dilipa, Saubhari, Uttanka, Shibi, Devala, Pippalada, Saraswata, Uddava, Parasara, Bhurisena, Vibhishana, Hanuman, Sukadeva, Goswami, Arjuna, Arishtanena, Vidura, Shrutadeva, etc. ते वै विदन्त्यतितरन्ति च देवमायां शभरा अपि पापजीवाः यद्भुक्तक्रमपराय परायणशीलशिक्षास् तिर्यग्जना अपि किमु श्रुतधारणाये. Surrendered souls, even from groups leading sinful lives, such as women, the labor class, and the mountainers, and the Siberians, or even the birds and the bees, can also know about the signs of Godhead and become liberated from the clutches of the illusionary energy by surrounding unto pure devotees of the Lord and by following in their footsteps in devotional service. शश्वत्प्रशान्तमभयं प्रतिबोधमात्रं शुद्धं समं सदसतः परमात्मतत्त्वं शब्दो न यत्र पुरुकारकवान् क्रियार्थो मायापयैत्यभिमुखे च विलज्जमाना तद्वै पदं भगवतः परमस्य पुंसो ब्रह्मेति यद् विदुरजस्त्रसुखं विशोकम्. What is realized as the absolute Brahman is full of unlimited bliss without grief. That is certainly the ultimate phase of the Supreme Enjoyer, the personality of Godhead. He is eternally void of all disturbances and fearlessness. He is complete consciousness as opposed to matter, uncontaminated and without distinctions. He is the principal, primeval cause of all causes and effects, in whom there is no sacrifice for fruitive activities and in whom the illusionary energy does not stand. सद्र्यन्नियम्य यतयो यमकर्तहेतिं जह्युः स्वराडिव निपानकनिद्रमिन्द्रः. In such a transcendental state, there is no need of artificial control of mind, mental speculation, or meditation as performed by the jnanis and yogis. One gives up such processes as the heavenly king Indira forgoes the trouble to dig a well. Sashreyasamapi vibhurбhagavan yatosya bhavasvabhava vihitasya satah prasiddhihi dehe swadhatu vigamenu विशीर्यमाणे व्योमेव तत्र पुरुषो न विशीर्यत तेजः. The personality of Godhead is the supreme master of everything auspicious, because the results of whatever actions are performed by the living beings in either the material or spiritual existences are avoided by the Lord. As such, He is the ultimate benefactor. Every individual living entity is unborn, and therefore, even after the annihilation of the material elementary body, the living entity exists, exactly like the air within the body. Soyam te bihitas Soyam te bihitas tata bhaga Soyam te bihitasta Soyam te bihitastata bhagavan vishvabhavaha bhavanaha. सोऽयं तिबिस्हतस्तात सोऽयं ते बिहितस्तात भगवान् विश्वभावनः. Oh God, tune point. Soyam te bishitastata. Okay. Soyam te bihitastata Bhagavan Vishwabhavanaha Samasena Harernanyad Anyasmat Sadasachayat. My dear son, I have now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari, the Lord, there is no other causes of phenomenal and nominal existences. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Yanme Bhagavatoditam Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam Tvametad Vipulikuru. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Yanme Bhagavatoditam Sangrahoyam Vibhutinam Tvametad Vipulikuru. O Narada, this science of God, Shrimad Bhagavatam, was spoken to me in summary by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was spoken as the accumulation of his diverse potencies. Please expend this science yourself. Yataharau Bhagavati Drunam Bhaktir Bhavishyati Sarvatmanya Kiladhare Iti Sankalpya Varnaya. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Hari, the supreme soul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energies. Mayam varnayato mushya Ishwarasyanumodataha Shrunvataha Shraddhaya Nityam Mayayatmana Muhyati. The Lord's activities in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If this is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusionary energy of the Lord. Thus ends the chapter entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.